Theories I have and theories I like. When it comes to movies and TV shows, there are a lot of theories that I have. Now, some of these aren't mine, and I do not intend to take any credit for them. I just support them. I believe they could be true and are plausible at the very least. So let's begin. Theories I have. Where do superpowers in the Incredibles universe come from? Have you ever wondered how Bob became so immensely strong, or how Helen got her elasticity powers, or how Lucius got the ability to generate ice and snow? I used to wonder the same things. I was even working on a prequel that showed how Bob and Helen got their powers and how they met during the glory days and all that. But I scrapped that because I came up with a new theory. I think superheroes in this universe are just born with their powers, much like mutants and the X-Men in Marvel. But the moment a child's powers are discovered, Agent Rick Dicker and the government come. They take the child away and erase both it and the parents' memories so that they don't ever remember having a superpowered child. We've seen that Dicker has the ability to erase memories the moment superpowers are discovered or a hero is seen without their mask. He's done it to the babysitter in the Jack Jack short, Bob's old boss at InsureCare, and that Tony Redinger kid Violet has a crush on. This could also explain why in The Incredibles 2, Bob and his family are forced to live in a rundown motel after their original house is destroyed. They could be living with grandparents, in-laws, or any other relative, but they can't because they don't remember them. Theories I have. Celine killed Rumi's parents. Now, this theory follows the recent, relatively new animated movie on Netflix, K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you can see it, this is Rumi, the one in the middle here with the purple hair. K-pop Demon Hunters went on to become a massive success for both Netflix and Sony Animation. It easily became Netflix's biggest movie release ever. Netflix and Sony Animation are already working on a sequel. If you saw the movie, we know that Rumi, the main co-protagonist, has lost her mother and father when she was very little, and former bandmate Celine took her and raised her as if she were his own daughter. We also learned that Rumi is in fact half demon, or her father was a demon too. If you're wondering how her mother fell in love with a demon, we've seen that demons in this universe have the ability to make themselves look more human-like. Thanks to Genu, the Saja boys, and that one flight attendant lady. But they can't hide the purple patterns on their bodies, which is an immediate sign that someone is a demon in disguise. Celine also taught Rumi to hide her patterns and that no one else can know about this side of her. If you're also wondering why would Celine kill Rumi's parents, wasn't she very close with them? If you consider how she is as a character, this doesn't seem that far-fetched. Now, this is how it would probably go down. This is all my theory. This is not... Maybe this will be the plot of K-pop Demon Hunters 2, maybe not, I don't know, your guess is as good as mine. But it goes like this. Maybe Rumi's mother, back when the Sunlight Sisters were the premier hunters, fell in love with a stranger on the road. It seemed harmless and the others were happy for her at first. But then she started missing sound checks and rehearsals. She became less and less interested in the music. And that's when they noticed the patterns on her husband's body. She also started getting these ideas from Rumi's father. Now, just to clarify, I am going to just refer to them as Rumi's mother or Rumi's father because none of her parents were ever referred to by their first name. So you're just going to have to bear with me on that. Such as, why do we have to go to all the trouble of hunting demons? Isn't eternal servitude to Gima, who's like the Demon King, enough of a punishment? And she also began showing mercy to those same demons. But the straw that broke the camel's back was when Rumi's mother decided to leave the band and being a hunter. As they packed their bags and departed, Celine ran after them, and this is where the confrontations finally came to a head. Rumi's mother retaliated by saying, maybe not all demons deserve to be slayed, and the big blow-up was, I did not fall in love with a demon, I fell in love with the tortured man inside. Celine drew out her magic sword, initially intending to kill only the father. But in a split second, the mom jumped in front of the blade, and in one swift swing, Celine killed them both, just like that. After mourning and grieving the loss of her friend, Celine turned to Rumi, still swallowed up, and decided to raise her as her own. This could also be further explanation why Rumi was told to hide her parents and never let anyone know about this side of her. Basically, I think Celine raised Rumi out of guilt and shame while also fearing what would happen if she learned the truth. Theories I have. Violet is not Bob and Helen's biological daughter. Now in the Parr family, this again surrounds the Incredibles universe. Bob has very noticeable blonde hair and blue eyes. Helen has more of a reddish-brown hair and brown eyes. Dash takes after his father's genetics with blonde hair and blue eyes. Chachak also has blonde hair and blue eyes, or maybe it could be his mother's more reddish hair. He's only got one little sprig of hair, so it's hard to tell for certain. Violet noticeably stands out because she's the only one with long black hair, but also blue eyes, which were later changed to more of a violet. People on the internet love to think someone cheated on someone, but I have a much more wholesome theory in mind. You see, it's not just Violet's black hair that intrigues me about her character design. She has a very rounded, button-like nose, unlike the other members of the Parr family. Her head is also much more of a rounded shape. Then one day I started thinking, black hair, rounded nose, rounded head. There's only one supporting character I know that has those features. That's right. My theory is that Violet is not Bob and Helen's daughter. She's Edna Modes. With superheroes being forced underground and superhero activity being outlawed, Edna knew she couldn't keep her, and maybe she didn't even want to. She presumably lives in that mansion all by herself, and we've never seen a Mr. Mode. So she entrusted her to a family she knew would take care of her. A family that also happens to be some of her best and favorite customers. If you're wondering why Violet has superpowers and Edna doesn't, I think superheroes in this universe are just born with powers like the X-Men. And that means sometimes they have superpowers, sometimes they don't. I've also heard theories that Violet is the daughter of another fellow superhero that unfortunately died, most likely due to a cape-related mishap. Theories I have. Gwen is going to sacrifice herself to save Miles' father's life, thereby putting both of their universes in jeopardy. Now again, this is all just my theories. Maybe this will be a plot point beyond the Spider-Verse, maybe not, I don't know. Again, your guess is as good as mine. But in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, we learned that this Miles Morales was never supposed to be a Spider-Man. His Spider-Man was never actually supposed to die, and the spider that bit him was never supposed to. This all comes to a head when Miles learns that his father is destined to die while trying to save someone. Also, all the other Spider people knew about this and did nothing, leaving Miles to his own devices for a year, which is kind of tonally at odds with the more optimistic, anyone can be a hero, anyone can be Spider-Man, any of the first movie, but okay. We also learn about something called the canon, and that deviating from the canon can lead to disastrous consequences. As Miguel, aka Spider-Man 2099, explained, when he tried to pass himself off as a doppelganger of himself that died, and ended up leading to the destruction of that entire universe. In order to make things right to Miles, my theory is that Gwen is going to throw Jeff and the bystander out of the way of the rubble that was supposed to crush him to death. But since Gwen is the sole Spider-Woman of her world, her entire universe is tearing itself apart at the seams. And since Miles' father was the one that was supposed to die, his universe is doing the same thing. And that's how their universes will collide, which is another theory surrounding the animated films. Theories I like. Donkey is actually one of the lost children from Pleasure Island. Credit to this theory goes to MatPat and the Film Theorists crew. This surrounds the Shrek movies, in case you... Have you ever wondered what kind of fairy tale Donkey came from? This theory suggests that Donkey may have actually been one of the lost children from Pleasure Island. In the original Disney version of Pinocchio, children who are abducted turn into donkeys when they've misbehaved enough. This theory also suggests that Donkey may even be Pinocchio's friend on the island, Lampwick, or Candlewick as he's sometimes called. This could explain how Donkey knows so much about pop culture and knows so much about human life. In Shrek 2, during the classic dinner table scene, Shrek doesn't know that the little water bowl is for washing your hands, but Donkey does, implying that he has been around humans before or that he was human at some point. Also, during Shrek 2, we learn that when Donkey isn't hanging out with or annoying Shrek, he spends quite a bit of time hanging out with Pinocchio. He says he was going to catch a tournament with him anyway. Theories I like. Shrek's name isn't actually Shrek. Do you remember that scene in Shrek 1 when Shrek first met Donkey? Remember when Donkey asks, "What's your name?" and Shrek pauses for a brief moment before saying Shrek? Not only does that imply that Shrek is so taken aback that someone isn't afraid of him, or that someone wasn't kind enough to ask him for his name, it implies that his name may not even be Shrek. Loosely translated, in German, Shrek means fright, while in Yiddish, Shrek means monster. If Shrek's name isn't actually Shrek, what is it? Or was he even given a name to begin with? My theory is that Shrek's parents cared so little about him that they never even gave him a name. They just referred to him as he, him, or it. We may not know much about the Grumpy Green Ogre's early life, but we know that ogres don't do the things that typical human families do, as they've said numerous times in the films and the numerous holiday specials. That's why he is actively trying to break the cycle with his own children, who, because of Fiona, are all given alliterative names with the letter F: Fergus, Farkle, and Felicia. Theories I like. Riley is insecure about her gender and her identity. That's why she has both male and female emotions inside her head. In the Inside Out movies, Riley is the only character we know that has both male and female emotions inside of her head. Some on the internet theorize that this is because she's insecure about her gender and her identity. This frustrates her father, which is why, in his head, anger is the chief emotion, and he takes it out on the mother, which is why, in her head, sadness is the chief emotion. Some also suggest that Riley is adopted because both of her parents have brown hair and eyes, while she has more blonde hair and blue eyes. Also, in Inside Out 1, when we are introduced to her, the mother does not look like someone who just gave birth. I think they might have even been standing. Theories I like. The food aboard the Axiom in Disney's WALL-E is made of other people. Credit to this theory goes to MatPat and the Film Theorists crew. According to this theory from MatPat, the food Axiom passengers are eating is made of other people. This could explain why all of the passengers are so morbidly obese and have to get around on hover chairs. According to his video, human meat can be highly caloric. But I'd like to take it one step further. Everyone looks the exact same age, and we've never seen anyone appear sick. And also, they've been in space for over 700 years. Where did all the other people go? The ones that died. With being in space for over 700 years, it seems highly unlikely they've had enough food for that long of a time. Obviously, the captain of the ship isn't making these decisions, at least not until his spiritual awakening later in the film. So Otto the autopilot is the one who has all the older and sicker people, and possibly even the dead people, and grinds them up into food for the others. Theories I have. Tom Holland's Spider-Man never actually had an Uncle Ben. In the MCU, there isn't a lot of focus on Peter Parker before he was Spider-Man. They don't really mention Uncle Ben or reference it. Tom Holland had already lost Tony Stark in Avengers Endgame, who was more or less a surrogate Uncle Ben. But in Spider-Man No Way Home, the moment before Aunt May dies, she does the whole "with great power comes great responsibility" kind of speech. Which makes me think that Peter had never heard that before, which means that he never had an Uncle Ben to give him that advice. Maybe Aunt May in this universe is just his father's sister, or maybe his mother's sister, who took Peter in after he lost both of his parents. And that's pretty much all the theories I have for now.